All right. Well, it might be a small but mighty group today. No problem. I hope you guys are doing well. I am going to start with, in theory, um, a moment of gratitude. So let's start with that. Does anybody want to chat a little bit about um, what they're grateful for today? Christina's already said she's grateful for the rain while I complained about it.
Well, and I'm just grateful it's summertime and my daughter's here hanging out with me.
That's
So,
that's right. Yeah, I remember you saying that a few weeks ago, so I'm glad that she's there. Those mama times are important. Anybody else want to share what they're grateful for this morning? All right, no worries. I am grateful for family. This is going to be a short work week for me. I'm out of town next week on vacation. So I've got family coming in. My 6'1", 14-year-old is graduating from middle school, graduating from middle school. So that's what I'm grateful for. He's doing that tomorrow. So a lot of family time, vacation time, just excited for that opportunity to celebrate with them. Anybody else want to chat about what they're grateful for? Okay, no worries. So I want to go ahead and lead you into a conversation about creating habits and creating kind of that flow of what we've been trying to chat about some, or we've been working on around lead generation. Um, I talk a lot about the format and how you should follow the funnel, right? How to get people in there. For example, maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we talked about, I showed you a diagram about what the follow-up looks like. There are 19 touches, right? Before you can get to a relationship on average, and how you should do that, and how important the first 3 days are, so that you're doing those two by three. You're chatting with them twice, or trying to connect with them twice a day in two different formats, 3 days in a row. So you're going to call and text, call and email for 3 days, right? So we talked a lot about the follow-up, but we haven't really talked too much about how to get them in your funnel, how to get them in the beginning of your lead generation. So because I am a models person, and I drink the KW Kool-Aid for sure, because I do think it's legit. We are going to chat about this right here, this diagram here. Let's see. Wait a minute. That's the wrong one. Hold on. We're going to chat about this funnel right here. Hold on. Go back here and share. And then I'm going to do that. And there you go. And so we're talking about how to get people into your database, the prospect and marketing component of this. There you go. We're talking how to get them there. We've talked a lot about the follow-up, but how do you get them in there? So this model here is what we want to talk about. How to succeed simply with a 10x4 model. And a 10-4 model is really, it's simple. It's so simple that we can even break this down even further about creating that habit. So what that means is that you're going to, one, make 10 contacts a day. No matter what you do on when you're doing your lead gen days, Monday through Friday, make 10 contacts, especially if you're a new real estate agent, even if you're a seasoned real estate agent. She was a new real estate, this person is Emily Rollerson out of Piedmont Triot, so my area, but Greensboro, North Carolina side of things. She was new to real estate in her area, so she didn't have a database. We all always kind of question, who are we supposed to call? What are we supposed to do? So she focused on growing her database by joining Facebook groups, attending local events, and making new friends. But the habit that she started creating was she contacted 10 people a day. So that's something that we can do. So her first 10 was contact 10 people a day. The next thing she worked on was 10 appointments a day. So it says, before Emily had a robust list of nurtures, her 10 appointments a week would be a coffee or lunch date with new friends or people she met in the community. Eventually, the conversations would turn to real estate, and she would end up asking for business. I think, guys, we sometimes make it hard. We think when we're going to have these appointments, it has to be a listing appointment. It has to be a buyer consult. But really, when you're setting these appointments, it's about building relationships. So while you're making those 10 contacts, your next goal for the week would to be to set 10 appointments. And those appointments are coffee dates. These are things, I remember when I was getting started in real estate, one thing I did every week was I'd made sure I met a mom at my kid's daycare. So we would go to coffee and I try to set some of those up. Again, it wasn't with the explicit purpose of talking real estate, but because I was building that relationship, it organically came about. It was a conversation about our kids, what you do, and then that there, then once you tell them that you're a real estate agent, obviously questions start, right? So then that's what we did. So again, the goal there is to create the appointments, to create the meetups, to create something that you are going to talk to somebody face to face 10 times a week. Okay. The third one she did was she previewed 10 homes, right? So even though Emily didn't have any listings or buyers, she previewed 10 homes a week to prepare for when she did. She realized that she needed to know the product and become a real estate expert of choice. Okay, so 10 homes a week. That could be new construction. That could be in a neighborhood that you're interested in. It could be in the neighborhood that you're hoping to do an open house in. But she previewed 10 homes a week so that she would become that real estate expert. Okay, so again, it's a very simple model in the sense that you're creating 4 10s within your week and creating that habit. Okay, so she's done 10 contacts a day. Again, those are 10 contacts a day that she's doing because she had to build her database. She's doing 10 appointments a week. Again, don't get bogged down with the idea that they have to be a listing appointment or they have to be a buyer's appointment. We're coming straight with 10 appointments so that you are meeting somebody face to face and starting to build that relationship. Then she previewed 10 homes. She previewed 10 homes a week. And what that meant was going into neighborhoods, setting it up on, it's like also a good way to practice how to set things up through MLS and your showing time services. All of that is what she did as she got started. And then her final 10 thing was Emily hosted open houses every weekend. This allowed her to meet her 10 cards a week goal. She would send cards to people she met at open houses, events, and around the community, further solidifying her relationship with them. So her last 10 cards or her last 10 activity was to send 10 cards. And those 10 cards were follow-up from open houses. Maybe it was a thank you from somebody that she met with, but she made a habit of sending 10 cards. So I really love this. I came across this last night and I was like, sometimes we overcomplicate things. Sometimes we have a hard time figuring out, okay, where are my leads going to come from? Who am I going to contact today? And just by following this simple kind of model of a 10-10-10-4 or a 10-4 model, it's a good way for you to start growing and solidifying your business. She also, if you see in the middle, and I will, if you look at this is on page 117. If you go into command and go to connect, you can get this one pager. But her daily checklist was based on these types of activities. And if you look at it, she has things like she got up, she had her morning routine. Obviously she got up, she had her morning routine. She talks here about how she would prep for her 10-4 activities. Who is she going to connect with? She would review the hot sheets. She would do a little role play with objection handling. So she had her own daily checklist, but she also had this 10-4 model. Does anybody have any thoughts on this right off the bat? Like any thoughts on just how simple that is, or just the activities, or would there be different activities you would choose to do?
Hey Meredith, what's going? Hey, I think it helps build what you do, like routines, so you keep doing it and you get the activities done.
Yeah, it helps you build those routines for sure. And again, it's a simplified routine, right? It's a 4 10s. Think of just 4 10s that you could do a week. These are the 4 10s she picked. Anybody else? All right, I do want to show you this video. I think, has anybody read Atomic Habits by James Clear? Or heard of that? Basically, the synopsis of that book is you rise to the level of your systems. So as long as you're creating these habits, how do you go about creating habits to create a successful business, regardless of what your business is? So I'm going to show you this video, and I just think it really resonated with me because habits are hard to create, and and sometimes we need that little bit of push to make sure we get there. So I'm going to share this again. go here. I'll show you my video. And it is right here. All right, and play.
It's easy.
Let me start over. There you go.
As far as making habits easy, there are a variety of things you can do, but the simplest one is just to scale your habits down to something that is very easy to do. And I like to recommend the 2-minute rule, which basically says you take whatever habit you're trying to build and you scale it down to something that takes 2 minutes or less to do. So do yoga 4 days a week becomes take out my yoga mat, or read 30 books a year becomes read 1 page. And sometimes people resist that a little bit because they're like, okay, I know the real thing I want to do isn't take my yoga mat out, right? I know I actually want to do the workout. Like, I'm not just looking to build this habit of taking this mat out all the time. So if it's a mental trick, and I know it's a trick, like, why would I fall for it? And if you feel that way, then my recommendation would be, well, actually in the beginning, for the first few weeks, limit yourself to only 2 minutes. All you do is put your shoes on, running shoes on, and step out the door and lock the door, and then you walk back inside. Or all you do is take your yoga mat out. It sounds funny, but like, for example, so I had a reader who, he ended up doing this. He lost a lot of weight, lost over 100 pounds. And for the first 6 weeks, he only went to the gym for like 5 minutes and then he would leave. So he'd get in the car, drive to the gym, get out, do half an exercise, get back in the car, drive home. And it sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds like you're like, okay, clearly this is not going to be the thing that gets this guy in shape. But when you step back for a second, you realize he was becoming the type of person that went to the gym 4 days a week. He was mastering the art of showing up. And I think that this is like a really deep truth about habits that gets overlooked a lot, which is a habit must be established before it can be improved, right? It has to become the standard in your life, your new normal, before you can worry about optimizing it or expanding it from there. If you don't become the type of person that goes to the gym for 5 minutes, you don't have a chance to be the person who stays for 45 minutes, 5 days a week. So I think so often we're so focused on finding the perfect diet plan or the ideal workout program. We're so focused on optimizing that we don't give ourselves permission to show up in a small way. But even if it's only for, 5 minutes or 5 push-ups or 1 sentence that you write, do something so that you can master the art of showing up and make it your new normal. And then once you become that person, well, then you have a lot of options for expanding and improving from there.
Okay, who has some ahas from that video?
Why don't I ask some questions of you folks?
Can you
Questions that you've been asked before. Let's see if we can play along. Who do I want to pick on? I'm going to ask you questions you've been asked before in your life. You should be ready to answer. Your name, sir, is?
There you go. So who has some? I had Phil Jones sitting in here. It sounded like who has some ahas from that video?
I was gonna ask what that was. It just blasted. What was that?
Phil Jones. So who has some ahas from that video? Christina.
Well, my aha is you have to get started, whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, you just have to get started. And then once you get started, it becomes a repetition, repetition, if I can get that word out this morning.
Exactly, becomes a habit. Yep. So just show up. Who else?
Basically, it's just like she said. Once you start doing it, then you just come second nature.
Yeah, yeah. And I think what I really loved about hearing something said is that we're so quick to optimize, especially somebody who has an operations kind of brain that I do. Like, I'm always trying to teach you guys like a quick little system or something you can do to get going. I get so bogged down with perfecting a system or so bogged down with what the process should be that sometimes I don't focus on the part of just showing up and getting a system started, just getting it going. And so even when you're thinking about, like, for example, for me, I'm not a morning person, right? So I've had to make and I would love to be able to get up and like bounce out of the bed and keep going, but I've just kind of had to make the habit that I had at first get out of that mindset that I'm not a morning person, even though I just said that I'm not a morning person, and set my alarm. But just the waking up and actually getting up at the time I say I want to get up is a win for me. Even if I don't get moving, it's the act of doing what I say, doing what I've committed to myself, doing what I said, okay, I want to get up at 5:45, so I need to get up at 5:45. Those types of things. So it's the small things. I really love that video. Any other ahas today? Nobody else? Well, I'm going to give you 12 minutes back of your life. check out that 10 by 4. Just remember, just the big thing today is just remember, if you create just a small, simple system of things that you're going to do, don't overcomplicate things. That's kind of what James Clear was going towards. Don't overcomplicate. Make it something that you can achieve. Make it achievable so you can get some wins in. That 10 by 4 is gold. 10 contacts, 10 homes, 10 contacts, view 10 homes, make 10 appointments, whether they are real estate related or not. But the point is, you're going to do a face-to-face with somebody where you're trying to build a relationship, and then do 10 follow-up cards or 10 follow-up emails. But whatever your 10 are, pick your 4 10s and just get those activities done so you can start filling your funnel. All right. Yep. Do the work. As Lori said here in the chat, do the work and it will become something you so easily do going forward. Exactly. So create the habit. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Have a good Wednesday.
Thanks, Meredith.
See ya.